Today, we are discussing the House of the Devil. Desperate to make some money so she can move into a new apartment, college student Samantha Hughes, played by Jocelyn Donahue, takes a mysterious babysitting job. When she arrives at the house, Mr. Ullman, played by Tom Noonan, mentions a full lunar eclipse and explains there is no child, but that Samantha will be watching his mother instead. After exploring the sinister-seeming house, Samantha soon comes to realize that her employers are hiding a horrifying secret and have plans for her, dead or alive.
All right, witches, strap in, because if you haven't put this together yet, this movie is about to get spoiled. So get ready.
My name is Blaine. I am mentally ill, and I love you guys so much. You have been there for me all day while I've been freaking out, and this week has been awful. But
yeah,
I love this. I love doing this podcast, and I'm so happy to hear your voices.
I love you.
Also, when you said you're mentally ill, I just thought of it as you're mentally ill, like you're the illest.
See, I just wanted to be like, same.
We all have some form of mental illness, which is great, but I think a lot of people do.
So my name's Emily, and I'm officially negative for COVID-19.
Woo! Cheers to that.
Severely immunocompromised and have a 1.5-year-old, so I got quickly tested by shoving a Q-tip into my brain, but it was negative, so I'm feeling pretty good.
My name is Stephanie, and today I decided to go on my deck, and I was like, you know what? Ain't nothing gonna bring me down. I'm in a tan, and I went out there, and the fucking sun went away and it started raining. So fuck you, everyone. I said everyone, but I meant everyone.
I liked the every bun, actually. I think that added.
Well, it makes me think of like I'm saying fuck you to rabbits. Like little rabbits, buns.
Some rabbits suck, though.
I think of you as the hot Bugs Bunny girl. I'm gonna totally pull a Wayne. A Garth when he's like, do you ever get attracted to when Bugs Bunny becomes the girl bunny? Yes. Remember that? First episode of Silver Scream Queens during the quarantine.
Can we call ourselves the Quarren Queens?
Oh my God, yes. Also, Skype has officially told me to tell you guys you're being recorded legally. I'm obligated.
Oh, got it. Mm-hmm.
For everybody listening, this is our way of handling social distancing.
And we're doing good.
We're doing our part. Fun fact, this movie features cult legends Dee Wallace from The Howling and Mary Warren from Night of the Living Dead. It is directed by indie horror flick aficionado Ty West, who also directed The Innkeepers.
Nice.
I love The Innkeepers so much.
This is a movie that I knew exactly what was going to happen 20 minutes before it happened.
Well, it tells you in the very beginning exactly what's going to happen.
To get straight into this fun-filled film, I have just a couple things that I thought would be interesting to talk about in the beginning. So one of which is it was shot on 16 millimeter film, which was really popular in the 80s, and it gives it that retro look.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that. I think it did, even from the get-go, it just did so well fitting in. You would have thought it was shot in the 80s.
In addition to that, Ty West did all of the shots that were common in the 80s, like the super zoom in, gives it the extra 80s vibe.
I feel like they tried too hard.
It was shot over a period of 18 days and for under $1 million. And now to us, even near $1 million sounds astronomical, but for a full-fledged film and all the elements, it's really not that much. But luckily, to recreate this kind of vibe, it didn't seem like they had to spend that much money. What really was so high, production value of this?
When I first saw this, my first run-in with this movie was I saw it on Shudder, which, quick fact, if you would like a free month of Shudder, all you have to do is use promo code SHUTIN and you get a free month. So this is how I discovered this movie. I didn't read anything except Satanic Panic, and I just clicked on it. And when I started watching it, I genuinely thought it was from the 80s. And then I saw Greta Gerwig, and I was like, oh, shit.
Opened in the first scene, there's copy that comes over the screen, and it says, during the 1980s, over 70% of American adults believed in the existence of abusive satanic cults Another 30% rationalized the lack of evidence to the government cover-up.
Based on true unexplained events.
You know, so the opening scene is this woman is standing in a kitchen and she's kind of wearing full winter gear. It's clear that she's looking at this house this apartment she wants to rent.
Short moment, like, because we're in quarantine, it's unavoidable that we're going to hear, like, people in our houses and noises and stuff like that. So welcome to the apocalypse.
I feel like this is the part where we have a montage that's like all of our individual families, and it's like everywhere you look, there's fucking noise around, and everybody can find you.
You can't go anywhere.
This is like the opposite of The Purge.
Although, didn't The Purge take place in the end of March in 2020? Like, wasn't that the opening?
Guys,
credit?
nothing will ever scare me more than the knowledge that in Tangled, the Disney movie Tangled, she lived on an island called Corona.
I know, and it's about isolation.
Yeah. So Disney, it's your fault.
I want to say just quickly, I did in the beginning really get into the 80s. I even wrote like the title screen, House of the Devil, in some sick 80s music plays. For a recent film, they really nailed the vibe. So in the beginning, I was like, yeah, you got this. I just felt like throughout the film, it got heavy-handed, if that makes sense.
I like that the real estate agent who's showing this girl the house, the deposit is $300. She waives the deposit, but she says something ominous about like, the girl that was living here before you, and that's never explained. And I just kind of love that extra little somebody else was a victim possibly of a satanic cult.
And I think it's worth noting that, you know, when Dee Wallace and Sam are talking, so Dee Wallace looks at Sam and she says, you know, I trust my gut on these things and I have a good feeling about you, which, you know, you really, again, back to you have to pay attention because it does come into play later.
So really, Dee Wallace has a terrible judgment.
Yeah.
You were talking about the opening credits. They go on for about 72 minutes, much like any other 80s movie.
It's worth noting that when the camera pans out when she's like walking away in the beginning of the hour-long montage that is the credits, it's revealed that the apartment is right next to a big-ass church. And that's where the text overlays the House of the Devil, right on top of this like beautiful old stone church.
So Blaine, did you live in a dorm with people that had sex with tube socks on the door? No?
That was me.
That was you?
Yeah.
Blaine, you're her roommate.
So in my freshman year, I actually shared kind of like a super room with two other roommates. And I had a bunk bed with one other roommate.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
It was for her. First, she yells at her roommate and she says, it's morning. Like, sex only happens at night. What are you doing? And this
sex
is where
only happens in the dark undercovers. Oh my God, missionary.
Well, and like that is where we kind of get the inkling that she's a virgin.
Yes. Which is very important to hear, I'm sure. Pentultimate favorite scene of this whole movie. It's the following scene. Okay. She goes to the bulletin board and because she's not going in her room. And we have established now that this girl needs $300. She any more any less, she needs $300 to get this apartment because she wants to get away from the roommate. So she goes to this bulletin board and she sees a sign that just says babysitter needed. There's a phone number. There's no information.
She's also wearing the world's largest scarf, I would like to point out.
The outfits in this, although there are only the high-waisted jeans, the Jordache runs
here for them. Camel toe.
When it comes to jeans, you really have to choose. Would you prefer a camel toe or would you just prefer a nice breeze in your ass crack?
On that same bulletin board, I paused because I wanted to read everything. And there is a guy posing with his cat. Just the best picture I've ever seen. And it says Lost Cat. And it's like this 80s picture, this nerdy guy sitting with his cat. Nobody's even talking about this guy's cat.
In the 80s, people thought that satanic cults sacrificed cats. So it's possible that his cat is missing due to a satanic sacrifice.
Dun, dun, dun.
That is badass as hell. So see, this makes me like the movie more.
And then all the other signs are for the eclipse, except for two other ones, which is the Lost Cat and the Wanted hiring at Nick's Pizza Place.
The bulletin board, there's a sign that says everything points to there's an eclipse. They are fucking obsessed with this eclipse. Samantha Hughes is the name of our main character, and her hair is the most retro thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's so voluminous.
She grabs a stub off of the shady babysitters needed sign, and she goes to a payphone, which is disgusting.
Ugh,
especially like,
coronavirus.
I'm watching this and I'm just like, coronavirus. You're fucked.
My.
So she makes the call. She gets a voicemail, and she just says, "Hey, I'm looking to be a babysitter. I got your sign. Blah blah blah." She leaves a number, and apparently it's not the payphone number because she walks away and the payphone rings.
Yeah.
So she picks it up, and the person on the other end says Samantha, and she's like, "How'd you get this number?" And he completely ignores the question.
Does anybody feel like the scene of her walking away from the phone and it's so slow, so you're like, some shit's about to go down. Either a streaker is gonna come and slap her ass, or the roommate's gonna come out with the sock on her face. I don't know, but luckily it was just a phone call. Does anybody feel like a lot of the slow, methodical way this is shot is very reminiscent of The Shining?
Yes.
Well, yeah, it was actually inspired by that because the guy who calls, his last name is Ullman. It's a reference back to
Stuart Ullman in The Shining.
Is that the hotel manager?
Yes.
When this guy calls her, he is very elusive and he tells her he's going to meet her in front of this student affairs building.
Yeah.
And
shady.
Yeah, and so she goes and she's just fucking chilling there, and he doesn't show up.
Before she even gets there, she runs back to her dorm to like grab her backpack or her tape player.
Yes.
She walks into the dorm, finds her roommate in bed with some dude, and like one side of the room is comically messy and one side of the room is comically clean. So this is like one of the reasons again why she wants to move out.
And I feel like that is the yin and yang of almost every college dorm you would ever go in. You would be so lucky.
Ty West really mode of storytelling is very show and don't tell, but he relies on it so heavily that he's throwing it in your face the entire goddamn time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I liked about it. She then leaves. She goes to meet the guy that's hiring a babysitter. She pulls out her Walkman.
Did you guys have a Walkman?
Yeah.
Like a tape Walkman?
Yeah, I mean, I was poor in the 90s, which means I basically grew up in the 70s.
Yes.
I had that shitty Dell iPod. You could fucking shove it up your ass, run it down a fucking football field, run it over. Nothing would happen to that thing. It was like solid.
For someone who's in the 80s, she struggled getting that tape in there. That annoyed me.
Yeah, that told on her.
Right. I was like, bitch, do another take. Make it clean.
So she waits for fucking ever, and this bitch does not show up. And then we cut to she's at the diner with her friend, and the Eclipse Pie special, I actually think sounds kind of delicious. It is white sauce, garlic, black olives, tomato, and feta.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm here for that.
Black olives off and I'm all up in it.
Same. Replace it with green.
Friend's name is Megan. I find some kinship with Samantha here because apparently her friend Megan is giving her shit because she's a germaphobe. And I was like, Samantha, my fucking husband cleans the floor 4 times a day.
And Megan does mention pizza's bad today and like spits it out.
It's made of people or Satanists.
Or cats.
Pizza.
Ooh. What do you guys think cat tastes like?
Oh, monkey.
I don't
chicken.
Chicken? What products does one use to get one's hair so feathery as Megan and Samantha?
Aquanet.
Oh, yeah. So her friend Megan offers to help her rather than her getting this creepy job because she's like pissed at her because she's like, no, like you don't need to do that. Like, I'll help you. So basically she's saying, I'll tell my dad I need money and I'll give the money to you, which is 1, so sweet and 2, so pretentious simultaneously.
Oh my God. That is something we would do for each other. Like she is
100%. You guys have done that for me, actually.
I just want to say, I have never been more happy for you just to have lupus.
Oh, girl, I know. I was like, my lungs are just failing on their own. Thank God.
God damn it.
Literally on my chart, it was like, patient presents with lupus, and then comma, severe lupus, and then another comma, and said, affects her daily life. And then a comma, and then the word lupus again. And
Emily,
like,
wait, that's your number 1
Thanks.
hit single. That's your single. If you make a song, if you sing a song, it's called Severe Lupus, lupus, presents
comma, autoimmune disease.
I love you guys.
I'm so
much.
happy we can laugh about it.
I know. So Samantha goes back to her super gross, half super gross dorm room. This is definitely not a room made for social distancing. There are not 6 feet in this room. And then I like how she goes to the bathroom in the college and it's like totally empty, but then she chooses to waste water. Bitch, this is how global warming starts. And she doesn't even sing the happy birthday song twice when she washes her hands.
I know. She goes to the bathroom, turns on all the things so that she can cry in peace. As if that isn't more conspicuous than just a sophomore crying in the bathroom.
I
There
feel
was
like-
always a sophomore crying in the bathroom.
I
That's
feel like
just
the
college.
I feel like the whole college is gonna come in and be like, "Is someone playing a prank and trying to flood the campus?"
Right.
Like,
Or
what?
just go in the shower, girl, and cry like everybody else.
Or you know
Just
what?
go in the shower and
Maybe
get your
you
cry
go
on.
the fuck outside and go for a walk, like we're all fucking doing now.
You're not under quarantine.
And I also want to look in the mirror and see how gross I look when I cry.
I actually love it, and then I always look up a picture of Marilyn Manson, and I think, you know what? He made something of himself, and he looks like he cried perpetually, crying all the
You
time.
are a noble land mermaid.
She goes back to the dorm, and
Eats a candy bar.
she eats a candy bar, and the roommate who killed Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love. Yep,
Courtney
Yeah.
Love.
she looks like Courtney Love-ish, and she's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
somebody called you and left a message." So it's the guy, and he's like, "Oh my
Mhm.
god, like I'm terribly sorry," and he says he's gonna give her $100 if she can come.
He's in
That's what she
dire
said.
need of someone tonight.
What would you do in this situation?
Oh, I'd go. I'd be
I
like,
would
100
go
bucks
too.
I'm in. I would
I'm in.
do that today.
If you told me $35 for an hour, I'd be like, you know what, I'd do it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, I think it's very much taken for granted just how horny college kids are for money.
Megan drives her to the person's house. They're listening to They Don't Write 'Em Like That Anymore. What's that, Greg Kihn band?
Nice.
It might have been a cover, but I'm pretty sure it was the Greg Kihn band. All the radio then talks about is the eclipse after that. And she
Mhm.
says, Megan says, it's not like the moon would explode, although that'd be pretty cool. Listen, Stony Baloney. She does show her, though, that she took up all the posters. She took all the posters down.
How sweet is that? Like, I
I
would just
know.
It's so sweet, but you know what's sad? Her doing that is why they're both dead. What did you guys think about the house? Because they pull up.
Gorgeous.
It's
God, that fucking house. I want to mention real quick that they pass a cemetery on the way there.
Mhm.
I want to go to there.
Both live there.
Describe it.
It is just, it's surrounded by hedges, which is beautiful. So you know it's well maintained.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's not walkable, like it's all grass. There aren't any paths or anything like that, so people can't fucking fuck it up. Linger on the cemetery, the camera does, so it's something to keep in mind for later.
So the guy opens the door when they walk up to the
Vincent.
door, and he appears to be about 19 feet tall.
Oh my God. They got Lurch for this shit.
I literally was gonna say, I was like, is this the Addams Family? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this soft-spoken Larry David bitch ass looking motherfucker. He says that they've been prepping for the eclipse. They just moved here.
She asked, so are you an astronomer? And he's like, in a way.
He's like trying to say I'm a Satanist.
She's like,
He's
are
just
you a Satanist? And he's like, well, I love Satan.
He's like, do you like Satan? Like the vegetarian food? He's like, Satan? Oh no, I'm sorry. Satan, I hate Satan. It's gross.
How would you feel if I just drew a circle and put a star in it real quick? How would you feel?
He's like, really quick. Can you stand in this triangle? Megan goes in with Sam, and part of me is like, you know what, bitch? Even when I babysat when I was like 12, my fucking parents were like, you're on your own. If you die, we tried.
Right?
That's
You know?
exactly what it was.
And it's like, you go by yourself, Megan. You're not her mom.
He makes Sam move to another room
I love it so much.
so that he can be like, yeah, she got to go. And she's
Get rid
like,
of the
oh,
blonde.
I can't stay here. And he moves so quickly that like he scares her, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I'm just really jumpy.
And
Like,
also, doesn't he have a limp and he walks with a cane?
He walks
Yeah.
with a cane.
So
Has
he's
a
fucking
creaky
running
limp.
at this point. Like, wait, let's talk. He says, my wife is really on edge, and he tells her the real reason she's there. He says, I have not been honest with you. We don't have a kid. No fucking shit, Mr. Magoo. You're 700 years old. And he's like, it's for my wife's mother. And he said that he tried to hire a babysitter before, but he said elder care, and nobody responded. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bitch, this is a college. These kids will suck a fucking hermit crab's dick for some money. I don't know what you're thinking.
and she continues to refuse. So he eventually is
Right.
like, all right, how much do I have to pay you for this? And he's
This
like,
What'll
okay.
it take?
Yeah, and so eventually it comes down to an extra, $400.
dude, that's the point in time where I'd be like, something is wrong.
But I would
Right.
also be like, you know what? I can take it.
She extorts the shit out of this guy for $400. I'm like proud of her. My dad, if this were me, my dad would be like, fuck yeah, Good for you.
Your dad would have been like, ask for 1,000.
My dad would be like, your time is worth it. $4,000
Right.
for 25 minutes. Megan gets pissed at her. And this is the part where we're saying, like, this movie is so predictable. You can see it a mile away. Because she actually says, it's too good to be true. Do you ever think it's actually too good to be true?
I love the thing about this movie. It really honors this friendship when Sam says to Megan, you're being a really good friend right now, but I'm going to fuck my life up anyway.
Yep. And that's what we've all done to all of our friends at some point.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is actually just a coming of age story of two friends making it through their college semester. So she says, I'm going to come get you at 12:30. And they talk about that time specifically. They're like, 12:30, I will be here at 12:30. Picture in your mind the actress who plays Samantha. Looks exactly like dead ringer for the actress Karen Allen, who played Indiana Jones' love interest in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
She is a dead ringer, and I love all the Indiana
Henry
Jones
has a poster
movies.
of her in his room.
Megan's in the car. She pulls into a cemetery because she doesn't know her way around. So it's the same cemetery we saw on the way there. So she pulls over. She tries to collect herself. She pulls out a cigarette and she tries to light it, realizing she doesn't have a light. And so she rolls down the window in anticipation of lighting it. And she looks around and, you know, she's messing around with the radio or whatever. And so when she turns around, there's a fucking guy there in her window in the cemetery. He was there. He was waiting for her. And he lights her cigarette and she's like, okay, as in like, I'm not gonna fucking let you in my car, thanks for the light. She looks away and he shoots her fucking head off.
He says, wait, are you not the babysitter?
And she's like, no, I'm not the fucking babysitter, my friend. And she doesn't get to finish and he shoots her head off. And the effects are beautiful. Oh my God.
What was perfect about this was, if this were now, I would have fucking pepper sprayed this motherfucker, pulled his eyes out with my nails, some shit. You come near my fucking car, even if you are a person I know, I'm still skeptical that I don't know who you are.
We also would have had Google Maps.
Right.
So, like, because she mentions on the way in, she's like, I had to look at a map to figure out where this place is.
Then he gets in the car. We talked about that he takes the cigarette. And it's just like, that scene is so simple. It's such a, you know, this is the thing of, you don't need a lot of effect. If the plot is strong, my second favorite to the cat photo in the bulletin board is the next scene where you cue back to the house. The guy that has hired Samantha to be the babysitter, Vincent, he gives her $20 and he says, oh, here's a little extra. I know you college kids love pizza.
He's pushing the pizza so hard. Like he repeats again and again, sorry, you need to get pizza. I know you love
3 times.
There's pizza money on the refrigerator by.
He's like, wait, do you know what pizza is? Let me get you a dictionary. Here's what a picture of pizza looks like. So the decor of this house, I feel like this is Blaine wants this house.
Oh, I want it. I want it so bad. It's so
like
fucking
everything,
creepy.
The couches, the lighting fixtures, the fucking vases.
Lou makes fun of me all the time for my old lady taste.
The Blessed Dark is your online one-stop shop for dark decor, oddities, and jewelry. You have to check out these handmade pieces by designer and creator Allie Swinty. We met Allie at Monster Mania in 2018 in New Jersey in Cherry Hill, and we each have items from her shop. Spooky and gorgeous are the words I would use to describe her pieces. You can shop online at blesseddark at etsy.com and follow her on Instagram at theblesseddark. So she's sitting in this like weird couch. Vivian, which I love that like the whole family has V names. She's wearing a long ass like mink black coat, and she's like clearly flirting.
She's clearly fabulous.
Samantha. She's clearly fabulous.
She looks like Glenn Close met Jessica Lange.
Yes! Clearly very much flirting with her.
Oh, yeah.
And then mentions that her mother must worry herself to death, is weirdly touching her hair, which
like
is so intimate.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like hair touching is very, very intimate. And then they, like, go to leave, and Vivian mentions to Vincent that Samantha seems, quote-unquote, perfect. And you're like,
wait, I want to talk a little bit about the interaction between Sam and Vivian. Yes, Vivian is very sexual. She is very horny. She is beautiful and she is dressed to the nines. She is peppering Sam with all of these questions about her relationships and her relationship with her which is also another hint at she's trying to get at if Samantha is or is not a virgin. And based on Samantha's responses, she's very coy, she's very shy. It basically tells Vivian all she needs to know, and that, yes, this bitch, a virgin.
You are a goddamn genius.
Can we also talk about the fact that she said she was in the basement looking for her fur, and she specifically says she likes the heat.
Yep.
Yes.
Fire of hell.
Fire.
Just like everything where he's talking about the pizza a million times. They're both fucking excited like little spring chickens on their first day at the hen house to get this bitch in this house. They're so jazzed. They start giggling and shit, and he's like, Vincent's like, oh, you doubted me, I did well, and she's just standing there, and I'm like, at this point, I'm gonna start to get concerned.
I mean, if somebody's willing to pay me $400, I'm like, yeah, these people are fucking crazy. I'm gonna do what I need to do and then leave.
I just start like taking my clothes off. They're like, no. I'm like, what?
Oh, do you not? Is that not what you purchased?
Is that not? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's like, you're really not a virgin. Please leave.
I thought it said babysitter, quote unquote, but we're not blood. Which is the opening to every porn that I've watched over this past quarantine.
Yeah. Pornhub gave free premium access to Italy, and I want to know how many people have to get coronavirus before we do.
So wait, P.S. I just want to say, Blaine, to cue back to your house, which is this house, the stained glass windows, the wooden banisters, it's like the movie Clue.
Yes, very good call. I was wondering, I was like, I've seen this house a million times. It's gorgeous. I want it. I live here. But it is very much like that in the Clue movie.
Fun fact, the house was actually, in reality, was infested with ladybugs at the time of the shooting. Yeah. Some of which can be seen in some of the shots. Now, I didn't see any ladybugs. Did you guys?
No. That ladybugs are very much associated with luck and good fortune, which is funny because in a lot of these movies where you're dealing with the occult or the supernatural, you hear of a lot of weird fucking shit happening.
Yeah.
But none such is documented in the creation of this movie, and I feel like we have the ladybugs to thank.
She tries, so Samantha, at this point, she's on her own. She's exploring the house. She tries to call Megan, but Megan's hearing is a bit blown at this point. All puns intended. She is fucking dead. So she decides she's going to order this pizza. And you know what, guys? Do you feel like if you're this broke, I feel like what I'd do is I'd just kind of slowly try to eat at their food without taking the money for that and keep the money.
I am shocked that she is not dug into their cabinets because that's how you move as a babysitter.
And they have fresh fruit, which as a college student is very rare.
Yeah, get some vitamins, bitch. So she calls the pizza place. And
he's hitting on her hard.
Yeah. So as she's ordering this pizza, by the way, another fun fact, this is the pizza guy asks if she wants a pizza with extra anchovies. And this is a subtle nod to the Patrick Dempsey comedy Loverboy, filmed in 1989. The extra anchovies reference meant that the delivery boy would be delivering sex in addition to pizza.
So wonderful.
Isn't that fucking awesome?
I was so distracted by how beautiful their farmhouse sink was. I paid no attention.
This is what happens when we're all poor and we want beautiful interiors.
Right?
Yeah.
You know?
Also, their address is 7714 East Beaumont, and I'd like to note that 7 and 13 are mystical numbers.
Ooh.
So, just throwing it out there.
So, everything that we thought about this girl before, she annoys the fuck out of me at this point. She starts going through the house. There's a fucking billiards room. This is fucking Clue for real. She goes
We
upstairs.
also find a goldfish that is way too big for the tank it's in. Somebody get that goldfish in an appropriate
it's in,
tank.
Like a teaspoon. And
yeah, baby, you need a 5-gallon.
She's opening up strangers' drawers. She extorts this motherfucker out of $400 to rummage through all of his things. She goes in his office. She's wearing his glasses. And
I would do the same though.
I would not. I would be scared.
Really? You wouldn't look through all their shit?
When I babysat, I thought everybody had cameras, even then.
Still, you invited me into your house. I'm looking through your goddamn shit. That's how it works. That's the babysitting code.
She's like reading his taxes. Like she's like really going to town.
Bitch, I would.
So, I have a really fun babysitting story.
Ooh, please.
Yeah.
So I was so much of the thought that, yeah, I'm going through all your cabinets. I'm going to go through to see what I can find. And then one day I was babysitting two boys, and they are growing up to be two wonderful grown men.
Mhm.
But at the time, the eldest came down one day, and I was a whopping like 16 at this point.
Right, child.
Yes, the eldest came down, and he was probably around 6 or 7. And he was like, I need to show you something.
Oh
And
my God.
That's never good.
I was like, okay, show me.
It's definitely
And
a vibrator.
Or a
he
penis.
pulled out a Playboy.
Oh!
And so I was like, oh, let me see that. And so like, I just took it from him, and I just opened up, because we were right by the front door. So I just opened up the coat closet and threw it in there.
God,
Oh my God.
So do you guys want to color?
I love you so much.
Oh yeah. And like, I never brought it up with like the parents or anything, and they never brought it up with me, but there was like that mutual understanding that like, yes, I know you fuck. Yes, I know you have like pornography magazines for some reason, even though the internet exists. Like,
Okay, I'll be honest. I'm concerned for the welfare of these children, because if you haven't figured out that having a physical porno mag is shitty compared to the beauty of internet porn, you're a fucking idiot. Seen this Samantha go through the whole fucking house.
Yes.
Mhm.
And there's POV shots from outside the whole time.
Oh,
of, like,
yeah.
Clearly someone's watching.
And I love that. I love it. It's
I
such
do.
a cheap way to get a beautiful feeling of like unease.
Well, and I love that because that's classic 80s slasher, and that's my shit.
And so she hears some noises outside, and I really like the way that they play with the subtleties of the light and the shadow. Like in that scene specifically, there's the way she's like looking outside the window, like the shadow on her face. She puts on the news. There's going to be 2 hours with no moonlight, and because of the eclipse, Frightmare Theater
at midnight.
Yep, and it says Frightmare Theater coming up next. She has the attention span of an actual puppy.
Maybe
so
I hate this movie because it's about me in college. I'm just like,
but I feel like you in college, you would not get fucking murdered or inseminated.
I picked up Hitchhikers in college.
What?
Like,
It was your teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Oh my God, I love you so much. It was my math teacher. That's how I passed my math final.
That's okay. That's smart. That's smart, Emily. That's not helping.
I didn't know it was my math teacher when I picked him up, though. There's the caveat. I had not been to the class.
This is the beauty of the devil. He was like, "I'm here for you, Emily. I will
got you,
help
boo-boo."
you." P.S. So then she puts her fucking Walkman on.
Yes.
Does anybody else get very annoyed at her wanton disregard for people's property in this scene?
It's not people's property. It's just that she's putting on headphones, which means you're more vulnerable. Like, get headphones off.
I was so self-conscious throughout this whole thing. I was like, first of all, I would not be rooting through other people's things. I would not be wearing headphones so that I couldn't be aware. I won't even headphones like if I'm like walking down the street.
Oh God, no.
Like, so
PSA ladies, don't wear headphones. It's not safe.
Or wear headphones to attract the person that you then kill.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, but like if you're not down for murdering people. but yeah, so she's just like, she's clearly has no. And what's the word I'm looking for? No, like know-how on self-defense and self-awareness.
Yeah. But also, this thing is like, if she is actually functioning under the premise that there is an elderly person in this house that requires her assistance, and she has fucking headphones on full blast, how are you going to help this old bitch if there is one?
Also, like, you don't want to ask her what kind of pizza she wants. Like, you're not going to be like, hey, you like pepperoni?
It's the 80s, so, like, like, she's like, well, if I can't hear her, I can't help her, so.
Yeah.
She's jumping on their couch. By the way, those vintage couches break mad quick. These are not value solid ass fucking couches. These are bullshit. Like, you basically kind of, when you pinch your butt cheeks when you're sitting so you can remain taut.
Yes,
I don't, but I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't give.
Yeah.
But like, that's the thing. And then she's jumping around, she's dancing, listening to the Greg Kihn band again.
Yep.
And then she breaks a vase upstairs. With her ass. And this vase
Which
looks
doesn't
priceless.
exist. She doesn't fucking have an ass, which
No.
annoys me to no end because I can't move around a corner without knocking something the fuck down.
Everyone know Blaine's
Yep.
ass is the most perfect painting of a butt you may have ever seen in your
apple.
life. It's an asshole because of how perfect it is.
It is a curse. God damn it.
It's a blessing to
so
us.
she
'Cause
doesn't
we get
even
to watch you walk away.
Yeah. And every time I hug Blaine, I touch her butt, and only because
yeah.
she accepts it.
It's a
And
prerequisite.
and it's so firm. It's like holding a really beautiful, perfect cantaloupe.
It is.
It's a perfect
cantaloupe.
You
Which
have
is
a
delicacy
cantal.
in Japan.
You have a cantal tush.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm going to film this episode.
So I have it in my notes. Oh shit, she breaks a vase with her boogie and butt. She
Yeah.
goes to clean up the mess. And whilst cleaning in like the foyer or the front room or whatever rich people call their foyers, she like some glass got under a door, so she opens it to clean up the glass from the vase, and she finds a bunch of furs, and she's like, Vivian said that they were in the basement earlier. Weird. And then she finds a box of family photos, which guess what, are not featuring the family that live in the house, that she thinks live in the house. And there's a picture, like there's the Volvo in the photo, which Megan had mentioned upon pulling in that like, oh, Volvo, safest car ever. So she's like, I better investigate this. And she goes to go outside, which by the way, I also wrote in my notes at this point, where the hell is that pizza? It's been a minute. She's had a dance party.
It's because they're making it out of people.
Yeah, but the guy was like, I'll see you in 30 minutes. And it's been 30. Like, I would be hungry by this point and annoyed that
does anybody get upset that she doesn't complete the cleanup of the broken glass?
Oh, yeah. She, like, shards of glass. That's fine. I'm only watching an elderly person.
So she calls Megan again.
Hello? Psych voicemail that everyone had in the 80s and 90s.
So I want to mention here that upon calling Megan, she is also ends up ignoring her gut instinct.
Yeah.
And just tells herself to get a grip like she did in the bathroom. At this moment, you're like, yeah, she's fucked because she's just completely abandoned all reason.
Also, she pees how I pee. She puts the paper down.
Yes.
Oh, so I have a lot to say about this scene. So she goes outside to like investigate, and she sees that creepy ass man that's like basically watching her.
Yeah.
She calls Megan, and then I wrote, she's freaked out, grabs a knife after attempting to call Megan once more. And oh my God, remember when there was just like toilet paper to waste, and she like covers her toilet paper seat, and then she hears a thud upstairs, and she goes to investigate. And I also wrote in my notes, I would like to mention that there is still no pizza. And then getting a strong...
Emily's very upset about this pizza.
All I care about. And then you get a very strong psycho vibe. As she's going up the stairs, it casts a shadow on the wall of her with the knife that feels very psycho.
It's beautiful. I love that. That, to me, that is pure gold.
Well, there are plenty of subtle references throughout this film to slasher films in the past, which I really appreciate. And they're done with such subtlety that you're able to appreciate them without being like, oh, okay.
She goes up to this door. If I didn't like the movie already, I like it so much more now, even though this is
my favorite scene. She goes, are you okay in there? And then I wrote, oh shit, they're not okay. The whole family is dead and strewn across a satanic looking mess. So it's a pentagram with the boy, because while she's investigating, you find like a young boy's room, which you're like, that's weird. They said their kid is grown, but whatever. Weird rich people do weird shit. So you find like the little boy, who's probably like what, 10?
Yeah, maybe.
Like strewn out, stomach cut in the middle of the pentagram, and then his parents placed below him, also obviously dead. So this is when it dawns on you that they do not own the home, the people that hired them.
Everything
it's
now.
This family.
The pizza, the doorbell rings perfectly timed here.
Fucking so finally
here, and it's great because in my notes I actually say I'm assuming it's creepy chain smoking Silent Bob.
Yes,
it is.
Whose name is Victor, by the way. Another V.
She gets the pizza. She just throws the money at him. Also, what do we imagine a pizza cost in 1980?
$8 in this movie. They say it on the phone.
She gives him a 20.
They say it on the phone because he's like, that'll be $8. Because I noted, I was like, what the fuck? A medium pizza's only $8 with one topping that's meat? Damn. And then she tips him like $18 because I don't know math, 12. So then Victor looks up and it's revealed that the eclipse is starting to occur.
But the thing I was going to say was you can tell how frazzled she is because this person who needs every dollar she can get basically throwing money away. She called the number that the guy gave her.
That makes sense.
Okay. And it says the number does not exist, like that old style, phone recording of like this number does not exist. And at this point, what would you guys do?
Fucking
take the money
leave.
and go. But shit, she couldn't leave because Uber doesn't exist and Megan isn't answering her call.
She would walk. I would walk. I would just be
You're
like,
right.
you know
You're right.
Someone eventually fuck this. I've done it before. I don't give a shit.
Get to stepping, Forrest Gump.
That's
you
true.
Better
At some
go.
point.
She misdials, and that automatically changes her to the emergency center. Hey, this is the emergency center. And she's like, oh, sorry. I thought I hung up before, the call was made. And she was like, no, do you understand the gravity of like dialing this? And she's like, yeah, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And she's trying to get her off the phone. So eventually she hangs up and says, yeah, this is an emergency, which fucks her because any call from this number in the future is just going to be like, oh, it's just this bitch who does not fucking die.
Very girl who'd cried wolf again.
So she turns all the lights on in the house and eats this pizza.
That is a giant ass pizza. So she sits down in the living room, turns the TV back on, and Frightmare is back on.
Yeah.
The movie she's watching is Night of the Living Dead because according to the film, that was copyright free. So they were able to use that without infringement.
Shit.
Which is amazing.
Yes. And even like, so as she's eating this, she's like ready to settle in. She's like, you know what? I've been freaking out all night. I'm just going to calm down and eat pizza until these people show up. I'm in my, so she's eating this pizza and she decides, well, as she's eating it, that first of all, she can't watch this horror shit because she's so freaked out. So she turns the TV off and then she continues to chew on this pizza. And she's like, this pizza tastes fucking awful. She stops eating the pizza. She throws it away. She goes to the sink. She fills up her water bottle. So she takes a swig out of that. She sloshes with it. She rinses.
She's like, what is this, pizza by Alfredo or Alfredo's Pizza Cafe?
Alfredo pizza. Which was the good one? Which was the good one
Pizza
again?
by Alfredo.
You know what, girl? Pizza's pizza. I don't care if it's drugs.
I'd love to have that pizza.
You know how many people want drugs and pizza simultaneously?
I would.
So she starts hearing noises from the basement.
So what she's hearing is actually she's by the sink because she just filled her water bottle up.
Yes.
And she hears the pipes rattling.
Yes.
Because older house, you hear everything in the plumbing. So she leans in to listen closer. She decides to follow the pipes up.
So she goes up to this bathroom, and in the tub, someone has pulled a Britney. There is tons of hair, black hair in the tub.
She goes to investigate the sound upstairs. This bitch is determined to meet the old lady who is presumably bald at this point because, hair.
Britney.
And then it's Britney, bitch.
It's Britney,
and then,
bitch.
So she starts to see, like, you know, how you can see, like, shadows under the door. But it seems like it's more than one person.
Yeah.
And just as the door is about to open, you hear it, like, opening a little bit, the power cuts out, and then it cuts, and you see that the moon is eclipsing at this point. It's about midnight at this point, and she's, like, stumbling her way down the stairs, and then she's out, unconscious.
Super Rosemary's Baby.
This is so fantastic. I would watch this any day over Rosemary's Baby. Fuck
really? I feel so different.
You know what I don't like about, well, I'm sure one day we'll cover Rosemary's Baby, but Rosemary, fucking Mia Farrow's hair in that deserves to be in jail.
I love Mia Farrow's hair and Mia Farrow's pregnancy.
If I could ever be tied up to a pentagram in a basement, I'm here for it.
I mean, we can make that happen, honey.
We come to after Sam passes out, and she is in the basement, and she has flashes of the eclipse occurring.
Oh, yes.
Are flashes of candles lit. There are flashes of her within this sacrifice circle. And we see that Vivian is there. We see what's his face? The old man.
Victor and Vincent.
Yes, they both come in their robes, and she is freaking out because she is gagged and she is tied down in the sacrifice circle.
I'm getting hard as we speak.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
well, and I think it's worth mentioning too that the moon that she like flashes in her visions that she sees is a blood moon. It's not necessarily an eclipse.
It's encircled in red. It's almost like we're leading up to this person we haven't seen yet. And we see what is supposedly the mother-in-law. And they walk.
She looks like a mother-in-law. Just kidding. I love my
Not
mother-in-law.
mine. She's the best.
That's great. So
you're like, that's cute.
Oh, great.
Must be nice.
So mother-in-law comes through the darkness, and we see that they are deformed in some way or another. At least we assume this is the mother-in-law who they've been referring to. We don't know these people. So mother-in-law approaches Sam.
And I mean, it looks like a monster.
Yeah.
I mean, she's had better days.
Yes.
She needs to moisturize.
Right.
And what she does is she creates a pentagram on Sam's uterus. And then she places a goat skull on Sam's uterus and cuts her own wrist. And the blood goes into the skull and onto Sam's uterus.
Dude, this thing definitely has the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Strange mother-in-law / freaky monster attempts to put her wrist blood in Sam's mouth, and Sam like fucking bitch slaps her. And she's
not trying to have it.
This is funny though. Comically, these people were clearly not trained in shibari, because she gets all these ropes off within a minute, like 2 milliseconds.
Immediately.
And she punches Victor, the pizza delivery / creepy best friend murderer, in the eye. And she runs. She sees Megan's body, which I'm like, you know, why wouldn't you just leave it in the car at this point?
Maybe I think the blood that they initially put on her belly was Megan's.
Oh,
because she's not cut yet at that point, and the pentagram is made of blood that she's lying on, and as is like the pentagram on her belly. Also, just a note: before she made her drink the wrist blood, she drew a rune on her forehead, some kind of satanic symbol or rune. I'm not quite sure which.
Grabs a knife for the second time as she's run upstairs.
Yes,
and Silent Bob follows her. He shoots her in the shoulder, and then she fucking slashes his throat. Again, this to me is the perfect movie where everyone is screaming. I could see this in an 80s drive-in where she's just sitting there and crying and not running. And I'm like, yeah, you just stay right where you are. That's the best answer for sure. Just stay put. You don't need to run.
Somehow Samantha makes it back up into the attic. Because remember, we were in the basement where the sacrifice was happening. And Vivian manages to catch up to her and create this whole speech about how Samantha is the sacrifice and this is how it's supposed to go. And then Vivian looks out the attic window to the moon as it's mid-eclipse, praying to the moon, and she takes her wig off.
She looks like she needs a touch-up.
Yes. Satanism in general, while it is very progressive, and while, no, they aren't sacrificing people all the time, and they're a very loving and accepting religion, it is still very patriarchal.
Then at this point, Sam has the knife and stabs her in the back. And
never get caught in a villainous monologue to the moon while someone's armed. That's just some good advice.
If someone has a knife, you should be a bit aware. And also the scream that she has when she's stabbed is very drawn out. She's a bit of a silver scream queen herself. So Sam runs out of the house covered in blood. She's stabbed Vivian. She runs out.
She tries to call 911 again. That's worth noting. That she does dial on a rotary phone, drops the phone, and runs away. But we've already established this girl who cried wolf.
And I love a rotary
situation.
phone. I love
Oh,
a rotary
same.
phone. So Oldie got stabbed, Victor, and she runs through the beautiful cemetery.
I want to point out one continuity error in this movie.
Yes, go.
So as we're in the attic, Sam's gown is now drenched in blood. Like it's crimson red. And then when we get to the cemetery, there is less blood.
Yes.
Oh.
As she is running away from the attic where she realizes she is pregnant, she is vomiting all the way through. We realize that she is pregnant before it is mentioned at the end. She runs away to the cemetery. The eclipse happens as he's trying to convince her to, stay with him, continue with this pregnancy. She doubles over, holds him at gunpoint, and then she asks, "What have you done to me?" And he says, "They're calling to you. Just listen to them." That's when she shoots herself.
What I love about the following scene is everything at this point goes super quick. We cue to a fucking hospital, and this is
with the news playing.
This is like Velociraptor because she is alive. She shot herself point blank in the fucking head.
So it is worth noting that you zoom in first on the TV station where a news report is saying the eclipse ended faster than they even thought possible, and that scientists across the globe were like dumbfounded by it.
What?
And for a moment, because this was my first viewing, and of course, as you all know, I was inebriated while watching this.
Yes.
I was like, "Oh, is Vincent in the hospital?" And like that's how you heard the story, because she doesn't shoot him; she shoots herself, and then it pans over to her, and I was like, "A fucking course." It's her.
Yeah. Yes, if you shoot yourself in the head, just a simple bandage will do. A simple gunshot to the head, no problem. Also, is this hospital in a monastery? It is very sparse.
The nurse is like, "You're going to be fine, you poor thing." And then she rubs her belly, which rude.
Gross.
Both of you. While like rubbing her belly. So that's when it's like allegedly revealed that she's pregnant. But I think we can all agree that it was pretty clear 4 minutes prior to that. That's the fucking movie.
Do you guys think that somehow, because it's the devil's baby, obviously, that can't kill herself? Like it's not
that she's
letting
just
her?
like a carrier in like literal scientific theory. Like, so I have a baby, I have a son.
Right.
And if I were to get breast cancer later in life, I have more antibodies against it now because I've had a male child. So like your body literally adapts differently to whatever spawn you're creating. So it is worth noting that that's actually like a thing in reality.
Guys, these fucking credits though, in order of appearance, we got local DJ, favorite teacher, dead child, dead husband, dead wife, demon, and blue demon. Emily, why don't you start with your
what's our metric?
Devil babies.
Ooh, how many devil babies?
4?
I'm going to say 4 because I think that it tried so hard to hearken to other films that it didn't become its own. It watched like fan fiction reads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like it was so busy being an homage to everything else that it forgot to write its own storyline. Oh, a girl was impregnated by a satanic cult. What else? Oh, that's it.
Last House on the Left meets Scream meets Rosemary's Baby meets
Rosemary's Baby. And I can appreciate the beauty of that. I can. And I enjoyed watching it. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't gain anything from it.
Blaine, what about you? What's your take?
So I just like to start off with fuck Last House on the Left.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah. It's a rape.
That's listed as my least favorite movie on our website.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Bad.
So I would rate this probably a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Just because I appreciate the references. I appreciate the care that went into trying to authenticate this film. Although, however heavy-handed it may have been, it was done with love, and it was clearly done with admiration for films before it. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate the suspense. I appreciate I love Ty West's insistence on doing the long, drawn-out, suspense-driven films where you were only fed piecemeal parts of the story until the end where you were just inundated with
Yeah,
information.
like a slow burn.
Like,
Yeah.
like engorged.
Exactly. So that's a solid 7 from me.
Yeah,
I like that.
I'm actually gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna do. I was going for a 7. This movie, we watched it for this, and I took a chance on it, and I really enjoyed it, and it was fun and easy and deadly and slutty a little bit because she's hot, and I had to hit it. And you know what? If I'd hit it, I'd give it a 7.
Sorry.
Exactly.
She gets a 7. So for you,
Sure.
I see Emily, and I think that in the same way, I have my films, like if we ever do Lost Boys, that's my penultimate movie in so many ways. It just perfectly hits on all the points, but it's funny. And for you, like Hellraiser, when we talked about Hellraiser, like that was your jam.
I love Rosemary's Baby so much because it's not only about the fears of pregnancy and
That's very true.
all the paranoia that comes with it, but it is also the fear and just absolute rage that comes with being in a heterosexual presenting relationship.
Yes.
Oh my God, Blaine, you're the smartest person I've ever met in my life.
I know.
We love you all.
Love you.
Go fuck yourself.